So here is the Axis VST snare stand we've been using for the last 22 years. Because we've never seen a reason to change, because it's got a ball and socket angle adjustment right here, so you can adjust it any way you want. But more importantly, it has a modular design, so the basket stays attached to the snare drum at all times like this, and you can drop it in your case, pull it out, and then drop it right on this, and then tighten it with wing screws, so your settings are repeatable every time. This is our kind of custom fabricated stick holder that we like to keep on our snare stand. Some drummers will put them on their hi-hat stand, or even strap their entire stick bag to their floor tom like this. We've never really found that to be necessary, because we rarely drop sticks, and with these new carbon fiber sticks we're using, we don't really expect to break one. But just in case, we like to have a pair of sticks right between our legs, so we can reach down with either our left or right hand and pull one out if we ever drop one. So, our motto is,
hey, you lose a stick, reach for your dick.
Because, the muscle memory is already there, right? So here's a better view of that. You can see how the basket stays attached to the snare, and then we can recreate our settings every time, and this has always been a real time saver, and also super cool. And like I said before, I've never seen another snare stand that does this. Alright, a closer look though. There are some issues with this, and first and foremost, the biggest issue is that this basket is very, very tedious to install on your snare, because it has to grip the bottom rim just right in all three places. And as you can see, there's kind of like this telescoping adjustment, and it's unfortunately held in place with Allen keys, and man, we just wish we could get away from the Allen keys. Anyway, it is very, very tedious to put on, and it's almost a two-man job actually, because you got to like press one side and push the other side as you tighten them. It's not something you can just remove and put on a new snare on the fly, and that's like the biggest downside to this, because if you mount this on your snare, then you got to commit to using that snare or use a different stand. And that's worked out well for us for the most part, because we're not one of these drummers that has multiple snares that we change in and out all the time. We only have two snares, and the one we're using right now we really like a lot, and we don't want to use a different snare. But one time, several years ago, one of our bros showed up to our rehearsal studio with his brand new Noble & Cooley 8x14 alloy snare that was so fucking sick, bro. And he wanted to try it out in our kit, and then we were like, oh, yeah. The problem is we're a fucking douchebag, and we can't use any other snare on this stand. So after that humiliating moment, we came up with a workaround to be able to use, multiple snares on our stand without having to disconnect the basket from our own snare. And so we basically just remove the Axis upper tube, and then we found an upper tube with a traditional snare basket and a similarly sized down tube, and then we can just install that in the Axis lower like this, and now our Axis stand can be used with any snare.
Alright, well, if that Axis stand is so great, then what the fuck is this doing here?
Well, that's the brand new DW93.
I know it's brand new. You know how I know that? Because there's $377 missing out of our bank account.
Yeah, but it has...
In this economy.
I know, but it has this new quick release...
Shut the fuck up. I should fuck you up for this.
Okay, so if I could get a word in. This is the brand new DW9000X series hardware. So all this stuff I have here on my drum kit, except for the rack itself and of course the pedals, is all DW9000. All these cymbal arms and stuff like that, clamps and things. DW9000 is it's the best money can buy, and it has been for a very long time. And they just unveiled this brand new line, the DW9000X series, which is, there's a lot of great stuff about that. It doesn't really pertain to us except for this particular stand, the DW9339X snare stand. All right, so this is the first ball and socket snare stand DW has ever made. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the really cool things about this, the thing that attracted us to it and made us buy this on a fucking whim, we debated it for about, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes, and see, we just can't leave well enough alone. Our Axis stand was fine. It was great, actually. We used it for many years, many shows, and it's never let us down. But the Axis snare stand we always kept, and we really didn't have a choice because there were no other snare stands that could do what the Axis did as far as the quick release, and the weight and all that, but we'll get into that later. So the most striking thing about this new DW snare stand is the quick release. Okay, look at that shit. You can take the basket right off, okay, just like the Axis. Okay, we'll get to that also. All right, so just looking at this, the DW was certainly heavier, more stoutly built. It's just no way around it. Like the Axis is it looks, very flimsy, but it is not. Like the biggest thing here is the single braced legs right there. The D-Dub has these super heavy double brace legs, but honestly, in all our years of playing, the Axis has never let us down. It's super sturdy, especially with the weight of the snare on here. It doesn't wobble or creep at all. As far as the detachable basket, okay, so the Axis just very fucking quick and efficient, but it does use a wing screw, against a very simple mechanism here. Okay, now the DW is very fucking high tech. So you've got this quick release little button you pull, but and then you just look at these legs on this tripod. This is just fucking beautiful. The important thing here is the ball and socket. So this is the first time DW has ever made a ball and socket snare stand. As you can see, it's like very see if we can get, yeah, you can't really see it, but yeah, this is just a fucking beautiful mechanism. Definitely better than the Axis. So as you can see right here, the Axis is just literally a brass ball and this aluminum housing, and this is a kind of a quick turn reset handle here that we put in aftermarket, so that just basically screws into that ball to lock it in place, and then we have a secondary lock right here. Definitely low tech compared to that D-Dub right here, but it's honestly, we've never had any problems with that Axis. Yeah, the D-Dub is great, but I don't think it really beats the Axis in terms of reliability. The greatest advantage, though, is the basket itself and how this fits on the snare. So it has a spring-loaded arm here, so it is very easy to take on and off like this. Way easier, way more efficient than the Axis. And this has drum key bolts here, so you can slide the fingers in and out, and customize it for any snare, any size, which is definitely an advantage over the Axis. Okay, but a huge issue is fitting this basket onto the snare. Like, it's relatively easy to do with with just the basket itself, but when the snare is attached to this, no fucking way. Forget about it. It's easy to take off, but with the snare attached, trying to do this, like, it is definitely a no-go. It's one of those things you can practice, 20 times, and then the one time you try to do it under pressure or when it really matters, it'll make you look like a fucking idiot. Believe me, I was the mental gymnastics I was doing to justify getting rid of the Axis and keeping the D-Dub, but it's not possible, especially when you're trying to set this up, when you're setting up the rest of your kit. The snare with this attached will knock into your toms, and it'll, at best, it's a pain in the ass, and at worst, it'll scratch up your rims. You'll get scratches because it bumps into the toms. And if you install it like a little bit further away and then move it into place, then you're right back to like the pains of a regular snare stand. So then you got to grip your snare by both sides and then fucking, try to maneuver it in like that. And this thing is 3 times as heavy as the Axis, and that's just like, no way. So as much as I wanted to love this, because man, I just love this design, but it's actually 2 extra steps, as far as setup. And that's the reason that we're using the Axis in the first place, is because it's such an easy and quick setup. It's just really, it's near impossible to install the snare in that basket on this stand. And yeah, so that was the deal breaker for us. So as amazing as this is, we're gonna stay with our Axis, and we're gonna have to fucking sell this or something. Anyway, yeah, I am truly heartbroken. I really wanted this to work out, but it's definitely not as efficient as the Axis. So